Hello, Zalto Live listeners. Before we get started, we wanted to let you know that more teachings from Zen monk Claude AnShin Thomas are available in his two books, At Hell's Gate, A Soldier's Journey from War to Peace, and Bringing Meditation to Life, 108 Teachings on the Path of Zen Practice. Both are available wherever books are sold, and all proceeds go to the Zalto Foundation, dedicated to promoting nonviolence, awareness, and positive change.
Hello and welcome to Zalto Live, the podcast featuring Zen Buddhist monk Claude AnShin Thomas, who will share with you his life experiences that includes not only military combat, personal violence, and addiction, but also healing, transformation, and the ongoing joy of everyday life. Please enjoy listening.
Question in the group. Yes, Sabina.
Könntest du bitte deine Ansicht teilen über begleiteten Suizid?
Would you be willing to share what your attitude is towards assisted suicide?
I think that people ought to have the right to decide. If I were in a, for example, we care for here. The Zalto Foundation they have an offering. They call it the Oakwood Animal Sanctuary. Within the context of this, we have veterans' pets healthcare. Animals play a very important. They play a very important role in our world. Our pets provide us an intense amount of companionship, and they show us so much about life. When our pets become elderly or they contract some sort of terminal illness, they let us know when it's time to die, and we help them. Why shouldn't we have the same opportunity? If I were in that position, and not frivolously, but really in that position, I would like to be able to make that choice. Question from the group. Yes, Genrai, and then Sabina.
Would you say that praise and dispraise or blame are both obstacles?
Wait, I don't know. It really depends. If one's doing things with only to get praise or expecting praise, this is an impediment. Then they're not doing the things just to do them. If I'm blaming others for the difficulties in my life, that's an impediment to practice. For my life, I'm responsible. Yes, you can do things that are maybe not so kind or pleasant. You may do things that are disappointing. However, what I do with the feelings that I have around that, that's really my responsibility. And depending on the relation, how I work with that then is dependent upon my ability to live in right relation with my own thoughts, feelings, and perception. Because for my life, I'm responsible. That's the point of practice. Sabina.
Bezüglich meiner Frage von vorhin, es ist doch trotzdem eine Art von Gewalt.
I refer back to my question, but it is a form of violence if I do that.
I don't know that I would agree with that. I mean, one could say then death is a violent act. But really, I have watched people and heard stories about people who were being kept alive only by machines because the inability of the people around them to make the decision, they were leaving the person connected to the machines trapped in a hell realm. I make it very clear in my care guidance that I am not to be, I don't know, what's the term? I'm not to be kept alive by unnecessary means or by extraordinary means. So violence, no, I don't see it as a form of violence. It becomes violence if there's no direction. You don't get to decide when I die unless I've given you that permission. The state doesn't get the right to decide. That's why I'm not a proponent of the death penalty. That simply keeps alive the cycle of war, violence, and suffering. So while there could be an aspect of violence to this process, it depends on the circumstances and the clarity of instructions. Question from the group. Yes, Genrai and NKG. But first, the word So I have guidance on, in English, they call it DNR. Do not resuscitate. Yeah, my heart stops and it doesn't want to keep going. You just leave it stop. My choice. I've given the direction. Beyond maybe the initial intervention.
In the past, you used the word transition a lot, and you don't do it anymore. What is the reason?
It's too often used when talking about going from life to death. So I'm rather just looking for another way to express what I'm attempting to express. Yes, it's just looking for another way. KG.
Wie kann ich das Scheitern in meinem Leben annehmen und was ist das überhaupt Scheitern?
How can I accept failure in my life? And what is it really? What is failure?
I'm of the nature to fail. The truth of humanity. I mean, so again, now we're coming to those two coexisting realms. There is the relative and there is the absolute. In the relative realm, there is success and failure. In the absolute realm, neither exists, and both exist, because one person's success may be another's failure. It's all rather on this. It's rather on this superficial level, the level of right, wrong, good, bad, yes, no. Mistakes can be looked at as failure, but I'm quite okay with mistakes. I don't mind making them once. They're teachings for me, and I'm of the nature to make mistakes. It's also my mistakes are telling me that I'm distracted, I'm not paying attention, or that I have something else to learn. So, am I open to learning? Yes. Am I open to the reality that I can become distracted? Yes. Mistakes happens. Not again. Question from the group. Myoshin.
What is your perspective on meditation that involves visualization? For example, imagining yourself in a special, relaxing place.
It's unreal. It's a creation of intellect. I'm not a supporter. I'm not a fan. Somebody does it, and they feel supported by that. Good luck to them. I don't interfere. I don't criticize, because eventually it won't work. It's about escape. It's a bit like vacation. Vacation is an unreal world. Everyday life for me is a vacation. I look forward to the day. My life is committed to being of service in the many ways that I can be, and I don't know how they all are. Or how many, I don't know all of the ways that that's possible. It's like I've given up the idea of what it means to be of service so that I can be. Sometimes it shows itself in quite interesting ways. I've given up my ideas of what it means to be in a calm, relaxing state, because then I'm attempting to get the world to conform to my ideas, and I'm not present to the world, and I won't be able to touch the reality of calm. That's the point of a disciplined spiritual practice rooted in self-reflection. Paying attention to the details of my life. Question from the group. Yes, Gabi. That's got my attention.
What has been lately or newest, something a cat that lives with you has taught you?
They continue to teach me resilience, patience, and the ability to learn the many ways in which we communicate. Yes, and they constantly remind me about my responsibility to them. That if they're in my care, I'm responsible to support them as best I can. To do that, I really have to see how I'm conditioned to view them, so that I can really then hear how they communicate with me, because they are all the time. All the animals. Question from the group. Kelby?
And Nicola.
Nicola, yes. Okay, thank you.
Anshin, what is your idea or understanding of the term self-compassion?
There's only compassion. Nicola?
Do you still isolate yourself? And if so, how do you notice it?
No. Nothing to notice. Do I want to? Sometimes. Do I? No, there's no point in it. I've enough time, quiet, on my own. Even in the midst of all kinds of activity, that's where there's real quiet. Stillness, just to be present, respond to the circumstances. Question, Kenshin.
Would you?
She lives here and she's asking me questions.
Would you say again how you see contemplation and self-reflection, if it's the same?
I'm not too much of a contemplator. Yes, I mean, for me, contemplation is a bit like thinking about stuff, thinking about ideas. Self-reflection for me is to just be present. For me, contemplation has a tendency to be more intellectual, more part of relative existence, whereas self-reflection is a process. Yeah. Question from the group. Okay, Isabel.
Als du aufgehört hast, Drogen zu nehmen,
When you stop taking drugs,
hast du das auf einmal gemacht oder war das ein Prozess über mehrere Jahre oder Monate?
is this something you did at one particular point, or was it a process across months or years?
When I stopped, I stopped. But to get to that point was a process, one that I was not aware of. I mean, I went into a clinic, and it was there that I stopped. But I didn't go into the clinic with the idea to stop. I went into the clinic to get away from all of the people and places that were my problems. But people and places and different things, they weren't my problem. But the drugs were telling me that they were my solution. They weren't really my solution. They were the problem. And there was no chance for healing and transformation to take place until I stopped and stayed stopped. Yes, and there's no half measure about that. It's like there's just no half measure. You gotta stop, then stay stopped. Question from the group. Yes, Grace.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you read fiction?
Yes, all kinds of fiction. I actually quite like it, because then the question for me is it really fiction? It's an amazing way that I find writers have of dealing with very sensitive, intricate, and important topics. Very powerful social topics, political topics, religious topics. It's very interesting the way that people are able to work with these within the realm of fiction. So yes, I like to read fiction. Question from the group. Yes, Getzigen.
Hello.
Hello.
Last week was the Vesak, and I was at a certain point very tired, and many of us were. And my question is it possible to have a stable energy for a day like this? Do I make something wrong? What's your idea?
Well, we're of the nature to get tired. That's how we deal with that. That's the point. Zen training, traditional Zen training. I start sitting at 4:30 in the morning, sit till 9 o'clock at night. Need to be up 2:33 in the morning. You got to be on the cushion before 4:30. If you're not, doors closed, you can go home because you're not really interested. So what do you want? What do you really want? And how conditioned we are to just sort of escape everything because of the challenges that prevent us. So we're trained to function without sleep, to function without food. That it supports us in seeing where our attachments are. So yes, I'm of the nature to become tired. How I deal with that is the point. If I have the idea that I'm not supposed to, or that I'm tired, I'm so tired, I need to rest, oh my God. When I have things in front of me that need to get done, in relation with my breath, I just do what's right in front of me to do, because there will be time to rest. Question from the group. Yes, Myoshin.
I think it's accurate to say that practice helps us to find a place of rest within activity.
It might. That's not why we practice. We practice just to practice. It's hard to say what will reveal itself to us. Yeah. But if we're practicing to accomplish something, or with the idea that we've accomplished something, that's not practice. Question in the group. Yes, Kelby.
Is it possible to confuse practicing compassion for myself with being selfish?
It's always possible to confuse everything. Always possible. Yes, this is the point of practice. To notice we have the nature to confuse, to confuse things. Question from the group. Yes, Getzigen.
Something about attachment and how to work with it.
I'm of the nature to be attached, to experience attachment. I need to be willing to recognize when that reality is unfolding itself, and I need to just let go. Because what's driving that attachment? It's important it's important, that exploration is important. Generally, attachment is sort of emblematic, that I'm afraid I'm going to lose something I already have or not get something that I want. It's generally at the root of attachment. So I by letting go of that attachment, whatever that means, I'd say working with it more directly, I can get to see what's underneath that blanket of attachment. Last question. Yes, Gabi.
Was war oder was ist gerade das letzte Buch hast du einfach eine fiktive Geschichte, die du gelesen hast.
What would have been the recent book of fiction that you have read? What book was that?
I'm just laughing at my own mind.
Yeah.
Let's see, a recent book of fiction, In the Lake of the Woods. Yes, and it's written by, Tim O'Brien. Also a former soldier in Vietnam. It is a work of fiction and one of the most insightful and brilliant books I've read in a long time. Other than that, I haven't read too many books of fiction. My reading has been sort of differently structured.
Thank you for listening to this episode on Zalto Live. If you would like additional information, please look at the show notes or visit zalto.org. That's ZALTHO.org. Our work is made possible solely through donations, so please consider making a tax-deductible gift on our website. We wish you well and thank you.